Sample question paper. Created by Couture Foundation. On ICSE's professional program. Group 2 elective paper 7.4. Banking and Insurance Laws and Practice. Lesson 19. Functions in Insurance and Compliance related thereto. Part 2. Sample question paper. Subject. Functions in Insurance and Compliance related thereto. Lesson 19. Part 2. Total marks, 100 marks. Time, 3 hours. Part I. Short answer questions, 40 marks. Instructions. Answer all questions. Each question carries 4 marks. Q1. Direct versus indirect channels. Define the primary difference between direct and indirect distribution channels in insurance. Answer. Direct channels involve the insurance company selling policies directly to customers through its own employees, website, or branches without intermediaries. In contrast, indirect channels utilize third-party intermediaries like agents, brokers, or banks to reach and sell to the end consumer. Q2. Individual agent role. Briefly describe the responsibilities of an individual agent after an insurance policy is sold. Answer. After a policy is sold, an individual agent is responsible for providing ongoing policy service, such as assisting with renewals and updating contact details. They also act as a vital link during the claims process, helping the policyholder or their nominees gather the necessary documentation for a settlement. Q3. Corporate agency. Explain how a corporate entity, such as a bank, leverages its existing brand to market insurance products. Answer. A corporate entity like a bank uses its established reputation and large customer database to build trust for the insurance products it recommends. By integrating insurance offerings into their existing service portfolio, they provide a one-stop shop experience that leverages their brand's credibility. Q4. Direct broker. What are the 3 specific subcategories of a direct broker registered with the IRDAI? Answer. Direct brokers registered with the IRDAI are classified into 3 specific subcategories: life, general, or composite. These categories define whether the broker is authorized to handle life insurance, non-life insurance, or both types of business simultaneously. Q5. Post-authorization. List 4 life insurance products that a point of salesperson, POSP, is permitted to sell. Answer. A point of salesperson, POSP, is permitted to sell simplified life insurance products, including pure term insurance plans and certain endowment plans. They are also authorized to sell immediate annuity products and government-sponsored insurance schemes. Q6. Web aggregator revenue. How do web aggregators generate income if they do not directly sell policies to customers? Answer. Web aggregators generate income by charging insurance companies fees for lead generation and displaying product information on their platforms. They may also earn remuneration for providing post-sale services or through advertising space on their websites. Q7. Network hospitals. Define a network hospital and state the primary benefit it offers to a policyholder during treatment. Answer. A network hospital is a healthcare provider that has a formal agreement with an insurance company or a TPA to provide treatment to its policyholders. The primary benefit is the cashless facility, which allows the policyholder to receive treatment without paying the bill upfront, as the insurer settles it directly. Q8. Insurance repositories. What is the purpose of an e-insurance account, EIA, within the insurance repository system? Answer. The e-insurance account, EIA, serves as a single electronic platform where a policyholder can store and manage all their insurance policies in a digital format. This eliminates the need for physical policy documents and ensures that all personal details are updated across all policies through a single request. Q9. Grievance redressal. Outline the first step a policyholder must take if they have a complaint against an insurer. Answer. The first step for a policyholder with a complaint is to approach the dedicated grievance redressal officer, GRO, of the respective insurance company. If the company does not resolve the issue within 15 days or if the resolution is unsatisfactory, the policyholder can then escalate the matter to the IRDAI or an insurance ombudsman. Q10. Unclaimed amounts. Define unclaimed amounts as per the insurance sector standards. Answer. Unclaimed amounts refer to any money due to policyholders, such as death claims, maturity benefits, or premium refunds, that have not been paid out for over 6 months. These funds remain with the insurer until the rightful claimant steps forward or until they are transferred to a designated government welfare fund after a specific period. Part 2. Essay-type questions, 40 marks. Instructions. Answer any 5 questions. Each question carries 8 marks. Q1. Insurance brokers. Discuss the various functions a direct broker is required to perform, specifically regarding risk management and claim consultancy. Answer. A direct broker acts as an intermediary between clients and insurance companies and performs several critical functions, especially in the areas of risk management and claim consultancy. Firstly, the broker collects detailed information about the client's business, including their risk exposure and risk management philosophy. This helps in assessing the nature and extent of risks involved. The broker then analyzes these risks and provides expert advice on appropriate insurance covers, policy terms, and conditions suited to the client's needs. In terms of risk management, the broker plays a proactive role by helping clients identify potential risks and suggesting ways to mitigate them through suitable insurance solutions. They maintain updated knowledge of available insurance markets and products, enabling them to recommend the most appropriate and cost-effective coverage. They also provide insurers with necessary underwriting information to ensure proper risk evaluation and pricing. Regarding claim consultancy, the broker assists clients throughout the claims process. This includes helping in claim documentation, maintaining proper claim records, and negotiating with insurers for fair settlement. The broker ensures that claims are processed efficiently and acts as an advocate for the client in case of disputes. Additionally, they provide regular updates and guidance during claim settlement. Overall, a direct broker not only facilitates policy placement but also adds value by managing risks effectively and ensuring smooth claim settlement, thereby safeguarding the client's financial interests. Q2. Registration requirements. Detail the capital requirements and corporate structure eligibility for an entity seeking an insurance broker license in India. Answer. To obtain an insurance broker license in India, entities must fulfill specific capital requirements and adhere to prescribed corporate structures as laid down by the regulatory authority. Regarding corporate structure, only certain types of entities are eligible to apply. These include companies registered under the Companies Act, 2013, or earlier 1956 Act, limited liability partnerships, LLPs, under the LLP Act, 2008, cooperative societies registered under the Cooperative Societies Act, 1912, and any other entity permitted by the authority to carry on insurance broking business. This ensures that only legally recognized and structured organizations operate in the insurance broking domain. Capital requirements vary depending on the type of broker. A direct broker must have a minimum capital of 75 rupees lakhs, while a reinsurance broker requires 4 rupees crore, and a composite broker must have 5 rupees crore. These capital thresholds ensure financial stability and credibility of the broker. In addition to capital, there are net worth requirements. For example, a direct broker must maintain a minimum net worth of 50 rupees lakhs at all times during the registration period. Further, brokers must maintain deposits, e.g., 10 rupees lakhs for direct brokers, with a scheduled bank and ensure adequate infrastructure, trained manpower, and IT systems. They must also appoint qualified personnel, including a principal officer with necessary certifications. Thus, strict capital and structural requirements ensure that only competent, financially sound, and well-regulated entities operate as insurance brokers in India. Q3. Insurance marketing firms. IMF explained the three categories of services provided by an IMF and the eligibility criteria regarding their net worth. Answer. Insurance marketing firms, IMFs, are specialized entities authorized to distribute insurance and related financial products while also providing various support services. They offer three broad categories of services. First is procuring and soliciting insurance policies. IMFs act as intermediaries between insurers and customers, helping clients choose suitable insurance products and facilitating policy sales without restrictions on the number of insurers they can engage with. The second category involves providing insurance-related services. IMFs can collaborate with other insurance intermediaries such as surveyors, loss assessors, insurance repositories, and third-party administrators. They provide back-office support, assist in claims handling, and even offer surveying and loss assessment services. This enhances their role beyond mere sales to a more comprehensive service provider in the insurance ecosystem. The third category is marketing financial products. IMFs are allowed to distribute a variety of financial products such as mutual funds, regulated by SBI, pension products, regulated by PFDA, banking and BEFC products, and other approved financial services. This diversification allows IMFs to cater to a wider customer base and provide integrated financial solutions. Regarding eligibility, IMFs must meet minimum net worth requirements. For operating a single branch, a minimum net worth of 5 rupees lakhs is required. For multiple branches, the net worth must be at least 10 rupees lakhs. Additionally, the entity must be registered as a company, LLP, or OPC and employ qualified personnel such as a principal officer and insurance salespersons. Q4. Motor insurance service providers. MISP discuss the role of automobile dealers as MISPs and the regulatory restrictions on their remuneration and rewards. Answer. Motor insurance service providers, MISPs, are typically automobile dealers authorized to distribute and service motor insurance policies in collaboration with insurers or insurance intermediaries. Their primary role is to facilitate the sale of motor insurance at the point of vehicle purchase, making it convenient for customers to obtain insurance coverage alongside their vehicles. MISPs also assist in policy servicing activities such as endorsements, renewals, cancellations, and claims guidance. Automobile dealers acting as MISPs must comply with strict regulatory guidelines. They are required to appoint a designated person responsible for ensuring compliance with regulations. Additionally, all personnel involved in insurance solicitation must be trained and certified. MISPs must follow a code of conduct and operate under a formal agreement with insurers or intermediaries. A key regulatory aspect concerns remuneration and rewards. The guidelines prescribe a maximum distribution fee that insurers can pay to MISPs for soliciting business. MISPs are strictly prohibited from receiving any payment other than this permitted fee, whether directly or indirectly. Furthermore, insurers cannot pay commissions or rewards to any other intermediary, such as agents or brokers, for policies sourced through MISPs, preventing duplication of remuneration. Regular audits are mandated to ensure compliance with these payment rules. MISPs and their associated entities are also barred from receiving additional incentives or hidden benefits. Overall, MISPs streamline motor insurance distribution while ensuring transparency and preventing unfair remuneration practices through strict regulatory controls. Q5. Commission structure. Describe the proposed 20% ceiling on commissions and how longevity incentives are intended to benefit intermediaries. Answer. The proposed commission structure in the insurance sector aims to introduce a ceiling of 20% on commissions paid to intermediaries such as agents, brokers, and other distribution channels. This cap is designed to bring transparency, reduce excessive payouts, and ensure that a larger portion of the premium is utilized for policyholder benefits rather than distribution costs. By limiting commissions, regulators seek to prevent mis-selling practices driven by high incentives and promote fair competition among intermediaries. At the same time, the concept of longevity incentives has been introduced to balance the impact of the commission cap. These incentives are structured to reward intermediaries for maintaining long-term relationships with clients and ensuring policy persistency. Instead of focusing only on acquiring new business, intermediaries are encouraged to provide continuous service, renew policies, and retain customers over time. Longevity incentives benefit intermediaries by providing a stable and sustained income stream. They are typically linked to factors such as policy duration, renewal rates, and overall portfolio performance. This approach aligns the interests of intermediaries with those of insurers and policyholders, as it promotes quality service and long-term engagement rather than short-term sales. Overall, the 20% commission ceiling ensures cost efficiency and ethical practices, while longevity incentives motivate intermediaries to focus on customer retention and service excellence, thereby strengthening the insurance ecosystem. Q6. Surveyors and loss assessors. Elaborate on the duties and responsibilities of a surveyor in assessing liability and investigating the causes of a loss. Answer. Surveyors and loss assessors play a crucial role in the insurance claims process by acting as independent professionals who evaluate losses and determine the insurer's liability. Their primary responsibility is to conduct a thorough and unbiased assessment of the damage or loss reported by the policyholder. One of their key duties is to investigate the cause of the loss. This involves examining the circumstances surrounding the incident, collecting evidence, interviewing witnesses, and reviewing relevant documents. The objective is to establish whether the loss is covered under the terms and conditions of the insurance policy. In addition to identifying the cause, surveyors assess the extent of the damage and quantify the financial loss. They inspect the affected property, verify inventories, and estimate repair or replacement costs. This ensures that the claim amount is accurate and justified. Surveyors are also responsible for determining the insurer's liability. They analyze policy coverage, exclusions, and conditions to decide how much compensation should be paid. Their report serves as a critical document for insurers in settling claims. Furthermore, they must maintain impartiality, professionalism, and confidentiality throughout the process. Timely submission of detailed and well-documented reports is essential. They may also recommend measures to prevent future losses. In summary, surveyors and loss assessors ensure fairness, transparency, and accuracy in claim settlement by thoroughly investigating losses and determining appropriate compensation. Q7. E-commerce platforms. Analyze the steps a business owner must follow to obtain e-commerce business insurance and the factors that influence its cost. Answer. For a business owner operating an e-commerce platform, obtaining appropriate insurance coverage is essential to protect against various operational risks. The process typically begins with identifying the specific risks associated with the business, such as cyber threats, product liability, data breaches, logistics issues, and customer claims. The next step involves consulting with an insurance provider or intermediary to select suitable policies. Common types of coverage include cyber insurance, liability insurance, product liability, transit insurance, and business interruption insurance. The business owner must provide detailed information about operations, transaction volumes, nature of products sold, and existing risk management practices. After evaluating the requirements, insurers assess the risk profile and provide quotations. The business owner compares policies, coverage limits, exclusions, and premiums before finalizing the most suitable option. Proper documentation and compliance with underwriting requirements are necessary to complete the process. The cost of e-commerce insurance is influenced by several factors. These include the size and scale of the business, annual turnover, type of products sold, high risk or low risk, geographical reach, and dependency on digital infrastructure. Cybersecurity measures, past claims history, and risk management practices also significantly affect premium costs. In essence, obtaining e-commerce insurance involves careful risk assessment and policy selection, while the cost depends on business-specific risk factors. Adequate coverage helps ensure financial protection and business continuity in a highly dynamic digital environment. Part 3, Case Study, 20 marks. Instructions: read the following scenario and answer the questions. Each question carries 4 marks, total 5 questions. Scenario: Ms. Nima is an art collector who owns rare works valued at approximately $100,000. She wants to secure a homeowner's insurance plan that specifically covers her art collection. She approaches Henrietta, an insurance broker, for assistance. Henrietta begins by collecting appraisal records and residence details to find an insurer willing to cover these unique risks. Questions. Q1. Broker role. Based on the scenario, why is Henrietta acting as a bridge rather than a direct agent for one company? Answer. Henrietta acts as a bridge because, as an insurance broker, she represents the interests of the client, Ms. Nima, rather than a specific insurance company. This independence allows her to scan the entire market to find the best possible coverage and pricing from various competing insurers. Q2. Assessment. Why did Henrietta specifically request appraisal records for the artwork before approaching insurers? Answer. Henrietta requested appraisal records to provide insurers with professional proof of the artwork's specific value and authenticity. Since rare art is a unique risk, insurers need these documents to accurately calculate the premium and determine the maximum amount they would pay in the event of a loss. Q3. Information gathering. List 3 pieces of information Henrietta inquired about regarding Nima's residence to find the best option. Answer. Henrietta likely inquired about the home's security systems, such as alarms or cameras, the environmental controls, like humidity and temperature management, and the physical construction of the building. These details help insurers assess the likelihood of theft or accidental damage to the high-value collection. Q4. Claim assistance. If Nima's artwork is damaged later, what role will Henrietta play between Nima and the insurance provider? Answer. If a loss occurs, Henrietta will act as a consultant to help Ms. Nima prepare and file the claim documentation correctly. She will also negotiate with the insurance company on Ms. Nima's behalf to ensure a fair and timely settlement is reached. Q5. Remuneration. How will Henrietta typically be compensated for her work in finding Nima the greatest insurance option? Answer. Henrietta will typically be compensated through a commission paid by the insurance company that Ms. Nima eventually chooses. This payment is usually a percentage of the premium paid for the policy, though in some professional contexts, brokers may instead charge a pre-agreed service fee directly to the client. Trophy Gold Medal Classical Building Woman Student. Test yourself. Q1. Discuss the insurance product distribution channel. Answer. Insurance product distribution channels refer to the various methods and intermediaries through which insurance products are marketed and sold to customers. These channels play a crucial role in connecting insurers with policyholders and ensuring that suitable products reach the target audience effectively. Traditionally, insurance products are distributed through agents, who may be individual agents or corporate agents. These agents represent one or more insurance companies and help customers understand policies, select appropriate coverage, and complete the purchase process. Another important channel is insurance brokers, who act as intermediaries representing the customer rather than the insurer. Brokers provide expert advice, compare policies from multiple insurers, and assist in claims settlement. In recent years, new distribution channels have emerged due to technological advancements. Bancassurance is one such channel, where banks partner with insurance companies to sell insurance products to their customers. Similarly, digital platforms and e-commerce channels enable customers to purchase policies online directly from insurers or through aggregators. Other channels include insurance marketing firms, IMFs, motor insurance service providers, MISPs, and web aggregators, all of which expand the reach of insurance products. Direct selling by insurance companies through their branches or online portals is also a key channel. Overall, the insurance distribution system is multi-channel in nature, combining traditional and modern approaches to ensure accessibility, convenience, and wider market penetration. Q2. What are the categories of insurance brokers? Answer. Insurance brokers are classified into different categories based on the nature of services they provide. Broadly, there are 3 main categories of insurance brokers. The first category is direct brokers. These brokers deal directly with clients seeking insurance coverage. They assess the client's needs, analyze risks, and recommend suitable insurance policies. Direct brokers assist in policy placement, documentation, and claims handling. They primarily focus on retail and corporate clients who require insurance protection. The second category is reinsurance brokers. These brokers specialize in reinsurance, which involves insurers transferring part of their risk to other insurance companies. Reinsurance brokers act as intermediaries between insurance companies and reinsurers. They help insurers structure reinsurance programs, negotiate terms, and place risks in domestic or international reinsurance markets. Their expertise is crucial in managing large or complex risks. The third category is composite brokers. Composite brokers combine the functions of both direct and reinsurance brokers. They are authorized to deal with both clients and insurance companies, as well as reinsurers. This allows them to provide comprehensive services covering both insurance and reinsurance needs. Each category requires different levels of capital and expertise, and they are regulated by the Insurance Authority to ensure professionalism and financial stability. These categories ensure specialization and efficiency in the insurance broking sector. Q3. What are the functions of composite brokers? Answer. Composite brokers perform a dual role by combining the functions of both direct brokers and reinsurance brokers. This enables them to offer a wide range of services to clients as well as insurance companies. Firstly, as direct brokers, they assist clients in identifying risks and selecting appropriate insurance policies. They collect relevant information about the client's business or personal requirements, analyze risk exposure, and recommend suitable insurance coverage. They also help in negotiating terms with insurers, placing policies, and ensuring proper documentation. Secondly, as reinsurance brokers, they work with insurance companies to manage their risk portfolios. They help insurers design reinsurance programs, identify suitable reinsurers, and negotiate reinsurance contracts. This is particularly important for managing large or complex risks that insurers may not be able to retain fully. Composite brokers also provide advisory services, including risk management strategies, portfolio analysis, and market insights. They maintain strong relationships with both insurers and reinsurers, enabling them to secure the best terms for their clients. Additionally, they assist in claims management by coordinating with insurers and reinsurers to ensure timely and fair settlement. Their expertise helps in resolving disputes and ensuring smooth claim processing. Overall, composite brokers offer comprehensive, end-to-end solutions in both insurance and reinsurance, making them highly valuable in the insurance ecosystem. Q4. Mr. Anil want to get registered as insurance broker. Explain the detailed procedure of registration as insurance broker. Answer. For Mr. Anil to get registered as an insurance broker in India, he must follow a structured procedure laid down by the regulatory authority. The first step is to decide the type of broker, direct, reinsurance, or composite, and ensure eligibility in terms of capital, infrastructure, and qualified personnel. Next, he must establish a suitable legal entity, such as a company, LLP, or cooperative society, as individuals cannot directly operate as brokers. The entity must meet minimum capital requirements, e.g., 75 rupees lakhs for a direct broker, and maintain the prescribed net worth. Mr. Anil must then appoint a qualified principal officer who has undergone the required training and passed the prescribed examination. Adequate office infrastructure, IT systems, and trained staff must also be in place. The application for registration is submitted to the regulatory authority along with necessary documents, including business plans, financial statements, proof of capital, details of directors, and declarations. An application fee must also be paid. The authority reviews the application, and if satisfied, grants in principle approval. After fulfilling any additional conditions, the final certificate of registration is issued. Post-registration, the broker must comply with ongoing requirements such as maintaining capital adequacy, submitting periodic reports, and adhering to a code of conduct. Thus, the registration process ensures that only qualified, financially sound, and compliant entities like Mr. Anil's can operate as insurance brokers. Q5. What functions and responsibilities of Insurance Marketing Firm Department? Answer. The Insurance Marketing Firm, IMF, department performs multiple functions aimed at promoting insurance penetration and providing related financial services. One of its primary responsibilities is soliciting and procuring insurance business. IMFs act as intermediaries between insurers and customers, helping clients understand different insurance products and selecting suitable policies based on their needs. Another key function is providing insurance servicing support. This includes assisting customers with policy renewals, endorsements, and documentation. IMFs also play a role in claims assistance by guiding policyholders through the claim process, ensuring proper documentation, and coordinating with insurers for smooth settlement. IMFs are also responsible for offering insurance-related services in collaboration with other entities such as surveyors, loss assessors, insurance repositories, and third-party administrators, TPAs. They may provide back-office support and facilitate additional services like risk inspection and loss assessment. Additionally, IMFs can distribute other financial products such as mutual funds, pension products, and banking services, thereby offering integrated financial solutions to customers. They must ensure compliance with regulatory guidelines, maintain proper records, and employ qualified personnel such as a principal officer and trained insurance salespersons. Overall, the IMF department functions as a multi-service platform that not only sells insurance but also provides end-to-end customer support and financial product distribution. Q6. What are the remuneration and rewards to insurance agents and intermediaries? Answer. Remuneration and rewards to insurance agents and intermediaries are regulated to ensure fairness, transparency, and prevention of unethical practices. The primary form of remuneration is commission, which is paid as a percentage of the premium collected on insurance policies. These commission rates are subject to regulatory limits to avoid excessive payouts and mis-selling. In addition to commissions, intermediaries may receive performance-based incentives linked to business targets, policy persistency, and customer retention. These incentives are structured to encourage long-term service rather than short-term sales. Insurers may also provide non-monetary rewards such as recognition, training opportunities, and career advancement programs. Regulations impose strict controls on the nature and extent of remuneration. For example, there may be caps on total commission payouts, such as a proposed 20% ceiling, and intermediaries are prohibited from receiving payments outside the approved structure. This ensures that customer interests are not compromised. Transparency is a key requirement, and all remuneration must be properly disclosed and documented. Intermediaries must adhere to a code of conduct and avoid conflicts of interest. Overall, the remuneration framework aims to balance fair compensation for intermediaries while safeguarding policyholders from biased advice and ensuring ethical distribution practices. Q7. How to make cashless claims at your nearby network hospital. Answer. Cashless claims in health insurance allow policyholders to receive medical treatment without paying upfront, as the insurer settles the bill directly with the hospital. To avail this facility, the first step is to ensure that the hospital is part of the insurer's network. In case of planned hospitalization, the policyholder must inform the insurer or the third-party administrator, TPA, in advance, usually 48-72 hours before admission. A pre-authorization form, available at the hospital's insurance desk, must be filled and submitted along with relevant medical details. For emergency hospitalization, the insurer or TPA must be notified within 24 hours of admission. The hospital then sends the pre-authorization request to the insurer TPA for approval. Once approved, the insurer issues an authorization letter specifying the amount covered. The policyholder can then undergo treatment without making payment, except for non-covered expenses. The hospital directly coordinates with the insurer for billing. At discharge, the policyholder needs to verify the bills and sign necessary documents. Any additional expenses not covered under the policy must be paid by the patient. Thus, the cashless claim process simplifies hospitalization by reducing financial stress and ensuring timely treatment through coordination between the hospital, insurer, and TPA. Q8. What is the revenue model of third-party administrators? What is the role of TPA in health insurance? Answer. Third-party administrators, TPAs, play a vital role in managing health insurance services, particularly in claims processing and customer support. Their revenue model is primarily based on fees paid by insurance companies. These fees may be structured as a fixed amount per policyholder, a percentage of premiums, or based on the volume of claims handled. TPAs do not underwrite risks or issue policies, instead, they act as service providers to insurers. Their main role is to facilitate efficient and hassle-free claims management. They maintain a network of hospitals where policyholders can avail cashless treatment. TPAs coordinate between hospitals, policyholders, and insurers to ensure smooth processing of claims. Their responsibilities include verifying policy details, issuing health cards, processing pre-authorization requests, scrutinizing claims, and ensuring that claims comply with policy terms and conditions. They also assist policyholders with queries, grievances, and documentation requirements. Additionally, TPAs help insurers control costs by detecting fraudulent claims and ensuring proper claim assessment. They maintain records, provide data analytics, and support insurers in improving service quality. In summary, TPAs generate revenue through service fees while playing a crucial role in enhancing efficiency, transparency, and customer satisfaction in health insurance by managing claims and providing essential support services. Q9. Duties and responsibilities of a surveyor and loss assessor. Answer. Surveyors and loss assessors are licensed professionals responsible for evaluating insurance claims in a fair and impartial manner. Their primary duty is to assess the extent of loss or damage and determine the insurer's liability under the policy terms. They act as a link between the insurer and the policyholder, ensuring transparency in claim settlement. One of their key responsibilities is to conduct a detailed inspection of the damaged property or loss site. They collect evidence, take photographs, verify documents, and interview concerned parties to understand the circumstances of the loss. Identifying the cause of loss is essential to determine whether it falls within the scope of policy coverage. They also quantify the loss by estimating repair or replacement costs, checking invoices, and validating the value of the damaged assets. Based on their findings, they prepare a comprehensive report that includes the cause of loss, extent of damage, admissibility of the claim, and recommended claim amount. Surveyors must ensure accuracy, objectivity, and adherence to regulatory guidelines. They are required to submit their reports within a stipulated time and maintain confidentiality of all information. Additionally, they may suggest preventive measures to minimize future risks. Overall, their role is crucial in ensuring fair, efficient, and timely settlement of insurance claims. Q10. How to get e-commerce business insurance? Explain with example. Answer. To obtain e-commerce business insurance, a business owner must first identify the risks associated with their online operations. These risks may include cyber threats, data breaches, product liability, shipping damages, and business interruption. Understanding these risks helps in selecting appropriate insurance coverage. The next step is to approach an insurance company, broker, or intermediary to explore suitable policies. Common types of insurance for e-commerce businesses include cyber insurance, product liability insurance, transit insurance, and professional indemnity insurance. The business owner must provide details such as nature of products sold, annual turnover, geographical reach, and security measures in place. After evaluating the information, insurers assess the risk profile and provide policy options with premium quotations. The business owner compares coverage, exclusions, and costs before finalizing the policy. Proper documentation and compliance with underwriting requirements are necessary to complete the process. Example, suppose an online clothing store sells products nationwide. It may purchase transit insurance to cover goods damaged during delivery and cyber insurance to protect customer data. If a customer claims injury due to a defective product, product liability insurance would cover the legal and compensation costs. Thus, obtaining e-commerce insurance involves risk assessment, policy selection, and compliance, ensuring protection against potential financial losses. Q11. What are the essential criteria for handling policyholder unclaimed amounts? Answer. Handling policyholder unclaimed amounts is an important responsibility of insurers, aimed at protecting the interests of policyholders and ensuring regulatory compliance. Unclaimed amounts typically arise from unpaid claims, matured policies, or refunds that remain uncollected. One essential criterion is proper identification and tracking of unclaimed amounts. Insurers must maintain detailed records of such amounts, including policyholder information, amount due, and duration of non-claim. This ensures transparency and accountability. Another important requirement is regular communication with policyholders or beneficiaries. Insurers are required to make efforts to contact them through letters, emails, phone calls, or public notices to inform them about the unclaimed funds. Insurers must also disclose details of unclaimed amounts on their websites, enabling policyholders to search and claim their dues easily. This improves accessibility and awareness. Additionally, unclaimed funds must be transferred to a designated fund after a specified period, as per regulatory guidelines. Insurers are also required to pay interest on these amounts, ensuring that policyholders do not suffer financial loss due to delays. Strict compliance with regulatory norms and periodic reporting to authorities is mandatory. Overall, the criteria ensure that unclaimed amounts are managed responsibly, with due efforts made to return funds to rightful owners. Q12. What are the different benefits of the insurance marketing firm? Answer. Insurance marketing firms, IMFs, offer several benefits to both customers and the insurance industry by acting as versatile intermediaries. One of the primary benefits is increased accessibility of insurance products. IMFs operate at the grassroots level, especially in semi-urban and rural areas, helping expand insurance penetration. They provide a wide range of services under one platform, including insurance sales, policy servicing, and claims assistance. This convenience allows customers to access multiple financial services from a single point of contact. IMFs can also distribute other financial products such as mutual funds, pensions, and banking services, offering integrated financial solutions. Another benefit is unbiased product selection. Since IMFs can work with multiple insurers, they are able to compare products and recommend the most suitable options for customers based on their needs. IMFs also contribute to employment generation by hiring and training insurance salespersons and financial advisors. They help improve financial literacy by educating customers about insurance and investment products. From the insurer's perspective, IMFs reduce distribution costs and extend market reach without the need for extensive infrastructure. They also enhance customer service through personalized interaction and local presence. Overall, IMFs strengthen the insurance ecosystem by improving accessibility, providing comprehensive services, and promoting financial inclusion. Q13. Write short notes on the following. I claim settlement process. Answer. The claim settlement process involves notifying the insurer about a loss, submitting required documents, and verification of the claim. The insurer or surveyor assesses the loss and determines the payable amount. Once approved, the claim is settled either through reimbursement or cashless payment. 2. POSP, point of sales person. Answer. A POSP is a certified individual authorized to sell simple insurance products such as motor, health, and travel insurance. They work under insurers or intermediaries and undergo basic training and certification. POSPs help in expanding insurance reach, especially in rural and semi-urban areas. 3. Web aggregator. Answer. A web aggregator is an online platform that compares insurance products from different insurers. It allows customers to evaluate features, premiums, and benefits before purchasing a policy. This enhances transparency and helps customers make informed decisions. 4. Forensic investigators. Answer. Forensic investigators are professionals who examine suspicious or fraudulent insurance claims. They analyze evidence, verify documents, and investigate the circumstances of the claim. Their role helps insurers detect fraud and prevent financial losses. We Common Public Service Centers, CPSC. Answer. Common Public Service Centers, CPSCs, are government-supported digital service points providing various public services, including insurance access. They help in distributing insurance products in rural and remote areas. CPSCs promote financial inclusion by making insurance services easily accessible to the public. Thanks to learn with us. You can find more study content on our website couture.com.